7 of Season 1 here in Spain. We have a 19 car field here, as one, the team and driver missing, and it's one of the McLaren drivers of Caustic, I think was what it. I can't exactly remember. I don't think they've been in any of the races I commentated. I think they had connections issues last time out, so. As we have some lap times coming in now, don't we, Owen?
Well, we've got a 118.8 from up in pole. He has gone with the medium tyres. Josh M has set a 19.2, which is faster than Kimi, even though Kimi is on the mediums as well. That is a very solid lap for Josh. He's normally one of like the underdogs.
Actually, yeah, he is. He is usually one of the underdogs.
Paul Pagosso with the 117 to put him up in first.
That is an incredibly quick lap.
Here we are, Branny Con. He is normally a very good qualifier. He normally has a good lap. And that's a Renault just letting Branny past. And a very fast lap. Here we are. Going past the line with a 118.8. Put him up at third. Overtaking correct. Yep. With a 118.0.
But correct is on the medium tyres. And if we say that they lose you about a second, he would be up in pole position right now on softs.
Yep.
But that probably isn't an accurate gap. Fairs is apparently on the medium pit lane, so I'll keep an eye on that. Hasn't set a lap yet. I don't really see the point in starting a race on the hards. If you want to go for the one stop, you might as well qualify on the mediums, because you get better the only thing qualifying on the hards would get you is the opposite, is the exact same strategy as qualifying on the mediums. Just I don't think being on mediums at the end of the race is worth qualifying on hards, because I think hard to medium would just be a slower strategy probably. But I think Fairs might always try that strategy. I think he might do it just to get like a banker lap in, just to set a lap, see how it goes. As you have a car off, that is Reese in the Williams, who is off down the straight, or down the back. Would you say it's a back? I'd say it's a back straight. It's a straight around the back of the circuit. Oh, Reese, and he's. Oh, how has he not spun that one then? Once again, great camera views by the game. Here we go to an actual off-board camera through the final chicane.
Here we see James on his outlap here.
Oh, this could be a fun one to watch. James is a very quick driver. Definitely on shot for the title this season. With I think a 30.
That's a Ferrari off.
Oh,
or is it an Alpha?
Or is it Bunny's? It is Bunny's. No wing damage though, so it looks all good. Just like a quick spin through the chicane.
And here we go. Here's James on his actual lap. Let's see if he can get into the top 5, maybe pole.
Here we go.
Here we are.
Go on board.
Going into the
first
corner.
Traffic.
Good line.
Nice and quick. Through turn 3.
Flat out on the long right-hander.
Flat out with a bit of room there on the left. Didn't quite use all the track. Quickest sector 1.
Yeah.
Oh, and lovely apex there. Just getting the tyre on it. Uses a bit of the exit curb. Not too much to get his lap invalidated though. And he just seems to clip every single curb just enough. As Josh gets out of the way for him.
Going through. Will he get a purple sector 2? No, he won't.
Ooh, controversial.
Is he going to spin on the dodge view line? No, he's took that very good under control.
That's a different line to anyone else I've watched. He turns in much later into that corner and gets sort of a better run out of the corner.
I don't think this is very quick lap for him.
Well, let's find out. We'll find out now. And
I'll put him up in third. That's decent for...
As Kyle retired. And that looks like it could be a crash. That looks like a crash to me, and that is a Mercedes of Thomas who's about to go through that area. And it is. Carl's crashed coming out of the high-speed right-hander. Looks like he's spun and gone into the inside barrier.
Oh, I can't see.
Next car to go through will be one of the Toro Rossos of. Well, that's a Toro Rosso off through turn 3. It's Josh. Looks
Oh,
like he's
yeah,
just
there.
spun it
See
through
Kyle
there.
coming off there. I'm gonna go on board with some people. Here we go, Barrel Bomber Saw going into the second lap now. Quite a few people going for the medium strategy here.
I reckon it could be a quicker strategy. But crucially, James has not gone on to it. So correct has. And I think correct truly with that strategy.
Oh,
It
Barrel
will either
Bomber Saw
work
with
or
the
not.
purple sector 1.
That
Ooh,
is
this could be promising.
very
Kimmy's left the
promising.
session, hopefully he can come back in.
Yes, and if anyone who has left the session and has rejoined, if you want to know how to get back in your car, just select your
And he's
invalidated lap.
invalidated, that is very unlucky from the Barrel Bomber Saw.
As Mano was retired, that looks like a voluntary retirement as it is still moving on the track. One of the McLarens around.
Just closing.
Has he gone slow? But yeah, if you
In on his lap, and that's a Toro Rosso round in the middle of the third
have had
sector
connection
going into.
issues, for example, Mikis and I think Kimmy has got issues. I recommend hovering over in the spectator mode, go over your name, press Op, and then click on the driver select, and then you should have the option to take control. As long as it's you, and then you should be able to get back in the session.
Yeah, you just press square minus sector, and you're on the driver select thing.
Just X on the find your name at the in the spectator menu.
And then if you're the actual profile, you can go down one more and take control.
It looks like someone spun out of turn 4. Or I reckon he may have just narrowly avoided that barrier if he'd carried on, but who knows. Which Mercedes is that behind him? It is the Mercedes on Thomas. And Thomas up in 5th at the moment.
He is spun round that lot of right-handers.
I believe that is... I don't actually know. Did I say he was doing that he was quick or not? I said it was very good for him to be in 5th. I'm yet to have a commentator's curse. I'm waiting for it.
We are Nero Zero on his outlap, just behind James, which is also on their outlap. Corpicoso won 17.6 to extend his pole position.
And that is a very, very quick lap.
Yep.
He is 4 tenths clear of the nearest driver, which is Jarno, and Jarno is quick. Jarno has proved that this season, he is very quick. That looks like a Haas going slowly of C1 up in the final sector. Looks to me he's just sort of backing off to get a good run onto his lap. I think he might be waiting for the Red Bull of Jarno to get past him. And now I think he's waiting for James to go past him, followed by Nerazuro. And I think it's time to go on board with James again through the final corner.
Here we are. Could Nerazuro catch him up and use James as a slipstream, getting even past the lap?
Ooh, and looks like they're just slowing down as the Rebel Jarno slowing down at turn 1. Ooh, bit wide, just avoided not getting his lap invalidated there, James, at a quickest sector 1.
We have a Toro Rosso in the chat saying he's got a lot of understeer.
Well, luckily front wing is one of the things you can change, so maybe add a bit more downforce to the nose of the car might be able to sort you out. But it could be more fundamental within the setup of maybe a suspension issue. Which of course you can't change once you're in qualifying. Looks like a bit
Kyle's angry with himself apparently.
As he should be. He's crashed a racer who has won 2 races this season. Should be better than that. As James set quicker sector 2 there.
Coming around the final corner for both James and James set 117.8, but he couldn't do anything. Still at 3rd.
And that's again on the soft tyres.
Increased his time, but not by much. Here we are, Ginger Thomas on his outlap. Danny Carl's gonna do a 5-stop to glory.
As Colpa is just come out of the pits now and is on his out lap to begin his final lap of the session, you'd have to imagine. Currently up behind one of the Williams drivers, either Reese or Kimi. Not a great, it's Reese because Kimi is still in the pit lane as he gets out of the way.
Here we are. Ginger Thomas was setting up for his final lap, maybe. Here we are. Going into the lap. Can he get any higher than a 5th position? He's 5/10 off Narazu. Can he make that 5/10 up? The yellow flag. That is Bunnies, which has spun out. Hit the wall as they damaged their front wing. Thomas has got a personal best first sector here. This could be a good lap for him. We are going to
Colpa, get ready to
nice and cool coming through the middle of sector 2. DRS activated. Flips the apex. Goes back on that. And he's invalidated it. Oh, that is unlucky. Wally. Can he quickly get to the pits and come out? I think he's going to try and do it. Speed to the pits. Try and come out. Here we are, Colpa on his lap as a purple sector 2. Will he increase his lead by even more? This could be the race for Colpa here. Starting out on pole. Pushing the limits a bit. And he spun it final corner. That was going to be an amazing lap.
But he has already got the front row, the pole
on
position,
the power too quick there.
If he doesn't get pole now, he will be kicking himself so much.
Yep. Jarno coming out on his out lap. Will he get this final lap out? Zero just behind James again. Here we go. Ginger Tover's going to try and squeeze one more lap out. He's on his out lap. He's probably going to try and go as fast as he could. And Colpagosso's blocked him. Will that affect him? Barney Cohn coming on the outside to try and get his lap in. Let's go on board with Barney Cohn here.
James has just started his final lap. And there's Zero right in the slipstream, much more in the slipstream this time.
Go into third sector. And he's spun it. I don't think that's going to be good enough. No, he's going straight into the pit. Alright, let's see. Ginger Thomas can just squeeze in. Here we go. Final lap for Ginger Thomas. Will he get in any faster lap? Will he catch up to Never Zero? Or will Never Zero get a faster lap? You never know. He is on his final one.
Let's have a look now through the final chicane. Comes James. Will he be able to
Here we
top?
go. Is he going to get a decent sector 1?
James,
It's a
pole
bit slower than
position.
he is. Oh my lord, there's 1:17.5 very quick there.
Has done it. Jarno and is Kolpo on a flying lap? Doesn't look. No, he is not. And neither is Jarno. Thomas is the only one that can challenge him. Maybe someone low down the order like a Kimi. As Kimi does go 5th. Kimi goes 5th.
Oh!
Very
Can
good
Ginger
lap.
Toast get his single back? And that is a purple
quick
sector 2 for Thomas.
Thomas, could he be going for pole position here? All over the curb.
He did get a slower sector 1, but will he make it up in this final sector?
At least he may even have a chance.
It's the apex. Will he mess up the final corner like Kolpo did? No, he doesn't. On the final straight, DRS is open, and he couldn't get a faster lap.
Ah, it's a shame.
That is unfortunate.
But I think
Only
that's one of
a
his best
10th off
qualifying of the
Kimi.
season. Assuming no, Fairs maybe could challenge him, but no, Fairs in the pits. And I think that's everyone now. And that is our grid order for the race.
There we go. That is our qualifying. It was a late pole for James. I knew it. I knew I had him in it. If that makes any sense, if I can speak English. Here we go. Here's our qualifying. First James, second Colpagrosso, third Giano, fourth Narazzurru, fifth Kimi, sixth Ginger Thomas, seventh Branny, eighth Korek, ninth Fairs, 10th Josh, 11th Manu, Forever Sin 12th, 13th Justin, 14th Reese, Bumso after that, 15th Bunnies, 16th, 17th is C1, 18th is Kyle, and 19th, so 18th is Mickey, and 19th is Kyle.
Got through the whole grid this time.
Yeah,
before it went
just.
away.
Oh no, Coppergos's left.
No. That's second
He's
on the grid.
had connection issues.
That could be.
Boys,
that's it.
Is
that's
anything
it.
going off in
now.
chat?
That's it now.
Is anything going off in chat? Go on.
His PS4 has just decided not to work anymore.
No.
And as we're already loading into the race, they're all on the grid. That's it. Nothing you can do. We're not going to pause the race and restart qualifying. No matter how much we care about our drivers. As they get ready for the formation lap now. Down towards turn 1. That does mean now that Yana is on the front row of the grid. Narazzurru is now third. Kimi is on the second row. Third row of the
Here's
grid.
the formation lap.
So,
Oh no.
the numbers on the left are wrong, just by the way, to everyone that's looking there. Other than pole position, the numbers are 1 too high, because the grid will have a space. Actually, no, I think the grid will have a space on it for Colpo. So, drivers won't change actual positions, but anyway.
Yeah, I must say, this has been like the best qualification for Ginger Thomas here. He's been consistently on 9th, but this time he has got the 6th. This time, will he get a bigger position. Will there be a big crash and he will get podium like he did in Russia, I think it was. Who's that who's got banned from the thingy? Oh, that is C1 Bunnies.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's like a train.
Quite a lot of drivers on the grid at the moment. If you collide on the
Corvette,
formation lap,
Granny, Bears, Josh, Ginger Thomas now.
Lots of people. Basically, the way you get reset to the grid is if you make any contact with someone on the formation lap, can be as light as possible. It puts both you and the person you made contact with on the grid.
Oh yeah. Here we are. We have the grid to foot reform. Oh, my English is over everywhere.
Here we are, lining up on the grid, selecting their grid spots. Of course, AI does all of this bit, because our drivers aren't good enough to do it themselves. Hopefully I have accurate.
Here we go. The lights are going up.
Here we are. Lights around now as we head to 5 red lights.
The lights are out and away they go.
James with a good start. Yano in a slipstream. Nero Zero behind him. Nero Zero pulls out towards the outside line. James looks pretty safe into turn 1. What about on the brakes? As they're all pretty clean there. As going back through the pack, there's a Toro Rosso around. Both Toro Rossos around on that one. Reese, Josh, and Forever Sin all around on lap 1. Back at the front, James continues to lead. And Yano second, Nero Zero third. As it looks like one of the Alfa Romeos, that is Bunnies, who has made a mistake coming up the hill then. Through on the exit turn 3. Kimmy in 4th there. Correct with a good start up into 5th place. Branny 6th. Manu 7th. Thomas, he's dropped 3 positions on that one. Not a good start, and he was on the softs. So in theory, that should give him the better start. Fairs 9th on the mediums, and Barra Bombers 10th on the mediums. As there are any battles through the field at the moment. It's like everyone's pretty much staying in position, as there goes the bollard at the inside of the hairpin. As they head into the final sector, very twisty, very slow final sector, very hard to go for an overtake here. And if you try it, you're basically sacrificing your front wing. Through the final chicane. Through the final corner. James leads, Yano second, Nero Zero third. Kimmy 4th, and Correct up to 5th on the medium tyres. As back in the field, does look like there's... As Kimmy wheel to wheel Correct now. And there's... Oh, contact. They're side by side and Kimmy has lost the place. Yes, he has. Correct, charging his way through the field now.
Bunnies is in the pits here.
Must be some damage. Or maybe just trying a risky strategy. So, race is ruined on lap 1. Go for something a bit different. Hope for the best. As Correct's gone wide, Kimmy has got the inside line now. Is he going to go for it? No, just that little bit too far back. And maybe up into the next corner he will though. As down through the field. Everyone's sitting in their place at the moment. Nero Zero quite close to the back of Yano. Not close enough to make a move though. Kimmy wheel toward Branny. Kimmy comes out on top there. Thomas defending from Manu. As whoa, in the background then, Forever Sin getting quite wide out of the high-speed right-hander. As we come through now to end lap 2 of the race. Yano 1.2 seconds back now. James already starting to show his speed. Lewis Hamilton of Torpedo League pulling away from the rest of the field, as that is C1 around in that final sector. That's a tricky corner. Just looking at the minimap now, you can see the gap that James has. It's huge. As It's Just has made a pass on Kyle. It looks like Kyle's made a mistake down at turn 1, or maybe he's had contact. no wing damage, so it's not looking too bad for him. As you watch them head through in the middle sector lap, just warning viewers, this race may not be one of the best. Spain is not a great racing circuit, but once pit stops and those sort of strategies start to come into play, this race could very much change. Kimi dropping back now from correct. Branny not too far back. Thomas quite close to the back of Branny now. Looks like Thomas is going to want to make up some more positions. He started 5th in the race, has dropped 2 positions now. He's managed to fight his way through a bit. As position change from lap 1, the biggest mover was Kyle, who's made 6 positions. The biggest loser was Josh, who's dropped 4 positions. Tyres, the lead soft runner is obviously James. The lead medium runner is Correct. So it's looking like those two are the ones to watch in this race, as Correct is on the back of Nerazuru at the moment. As Kyle has made a mistake down in sector 1, as Correct's locked up into there now. As Kyle dropping down, yeah, it is Kyle who's just dropped down into 16th place. Haas's season not going too well at the moment. Drivers in 16th and 17th. Whereas Racing Point, their drivers have been able to survive a lap 1, I think, for the first time since Singapore. And they're in decent positions, although I have just a feeling Nerazuru is going to drop a position by the next time we get to Sector 3. Because Correct, less than 2.5 tenths behind, and on the harder tyres. Very much challenging for the win here, Correct. And in only his 2nd race, he's going to want to prove he has the speed. 2nd in his 1st race, and that was after he spun on lap 1. As we've got battles down the field now. Branny wheel to wheel there with Tom, as Branny wheel to wheel with Kimi. Branny comes out on top. Thomas wheel to wheel with Manu, and Thomas comes out on top there. As Kimi, has left the session. Looks like a connection issue there for Kimi, and he will now drop through the order. Hopefully, if he can get back quickly, he can take control of his car. Manu right on the back there of Thomas. And talking about on the back, Nerazuru has lost a position to Correct, and he's going to have the DRS, but I think it's fair to say that Correct's going to be keeping that position for the rest of the race, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes here. The way Correct's current speed is really proving that James may not have this championship all wrapped up and sealed, because it definitely seems like there's no other driver that is going to challenge him this season, especially on a number of race wins. Going back down through the field now. Manu is going to want to have another go on Thomas here. As Kimi is back in, hopefully he can retake control of his car. He's in the slips as Manu not able to get close enough to the back of Thomas's car through turns 1, 2 and 3 now. This pack of cars so close, but just not able to make a move through any of these tight and twisty corners at Spain. Only one real big overtaking chance, and that is down to turn 1. And you can just look at the mini-map, just look at the length of the straight, as Thomas starting to catch Branny now, less than 3 tenths behind. The only other place you can go for an overtake is down at the hairpin. Well, only other place where people will be expecting to see an overtake is at the hairpin. As Thomas too far back. Manu slowly recatching up to Thomas, but move. As Kyle has retired, that looks like a voluntary retire, sort of a giving up because his race isn't going too well. So there's a massive pack here. As Thomas into the pit lane. So is Nerazuro. So now we know how long these soft tyres can go. Only 2 drivers so far. As Josh with a 3-second time penalty. Fair's in 6th place as Kyle has left the session now. His car out on track just into turn 4 there. There's a yellow flag for it. Parked over on the right hand side of the circuit. Left hand side for us. As watching these battles, and that is C1 who's made another mistake up in the final sector, as it looks like, and yeah, Bunny's past him now. As Haas's day is just getting worse now. Branny, he's got Manu behind him now, and Manu is catching up to Branny quickly. And Fair's behind Manu, who is also going very quick at the moment. These medium runners will be able to go much longer in the race than the soft runners. And it will be quite, it looks to me, looking at the tyres that drivers have picked, yeah, Thomas is onto the mediums, so drivers who are on the soft tyres and pit onto the mediums, I think it's fair to say they're going for a 2-stop strategy. Whereas those who start on the mediums, go on to hards, they'll be on the 1-stop. As Jarno is also in the pits this lap. Manu now up into 3rd place. Will this give him his chance to push through the field as Fairs with a 3-second time penalty? James continues to lead this race now, 2.8-second lead out of Korek, and Korek is catching fast despite being on the harder tyres. Heading into the hairpin now, Korek with the quickest sector 2 of the race so far. James, I think he has now got a title battle on, but luckily for him, he has a massive advantage over Korek, seeing as Korek joined the season that little bit later. Well, 5 races he's missed out of the many races in this season. As James comes into the pit lane now, and he is pitting onto those medium tyres on. Oh, it's hard tyres. Hard tyres on James's car, which could prove crucial, because that could be a 1-stop strategy if he can hold keep those tyres going. Definitely gives Korek the advantage, because he will have better tyre wear on those hards at the end of the race. But if James has the pace that he's shown in so many races so far this season, then he can fight this back and get back into the lead and maybe win this thing. As that is C1 spinning, and he's left the session in the middle sector there, as that's both Haas out of the race. Haas are fighting near the front of the field in the Constructors' Championship. No one's really able to get close to Mercedes at the moment. With James in the team, there's nothing anyone can do. Thomas as well, Mercedes have got one of the best driver lineups in the field. Definitely the most consistent, because no matter what, I always see James and Thomas in the points. I think Australia was the only race I can remember watching where Thomas wasn't fighting in the points, and that's because Thomas was out of the race. And Thomas is now in 10th place at the moment, and that may be only 1 point compared to what James is scoring in some of the races, or in the last 4 he's won them. But it's still, for the Constructors' title, well, I mean, you can look, Haas, I think they're at least in the top half, maybe even top 4 or top 3. And they've got 17th and 18th for the moment. Both drivers, I think, are out of the race. C1 hasn't actually retired the car, so he's only left the session. So his AI has taken over. But he's not in the race, and the AI is not going to be competitive. You can see there James flying past the AI. And that shows Haas, they're a good team in this championship, and their points from this race is going to be nothing compared to well, Ferrari currently first and fourth, and for Barry Bombasol that is amazing. He's getting points, but he's not been a he's not been a midfield driver. I think it's fair to say he's been near the back of the midfield. I'd say, probably behind people like Thomas, behind people like Mickey's, and now to be running fourth. And I know he hasn't pitted yet, but he is ahead of Mickey's at least, and 4.4 seconds behind Fares. And as we saw in the last race, Fares is a very, very quick driver who can, well, he stormed through the field in that race from the back. As that is one of the Toro Rossos, I would assume that is Josh who has gone off. Let's have a look, and it is Josh, and he's broken his front wing just after pitting, it seems. Coming out of turn 2, it looks like he's spun, as it all blocked a bit Bunny's then. Bunny's gone wide, and he's hit the wall again. More contact, and that is Josh retiring from this race. Another driver that's the third driver in this race who's given up now. And you hate to see it, but sometimes it's the best thing to do. If you're driving and you're not feeling sort of good when you're driving and you don't feel like it's worth anything, even if in the long run you may actually be able to get a point, because as we've seen in some of these races this season, anything can happen. Anyone can charge their way through the field. But if he doesn't want to race and he feels like it's useless, the only thing, if he stays out racing, the only thing he's going to do is crash more, maybe crash into another car, and just cause issues for the other drivers. So if he thinks it's the right thing to do for him, then he should retire from the race. But of course, these races, we have 2 a week, so he's only got to wait a few days before the next one, when he can have another go and maybe score points. And Josh has scored points this season and has proven that on a good day, he can do really well. He can fight with some of the good guys in this league. For example, Thomas. Some of the shocks at the moment in the order. Branny currently only in 11th place. Kimi in 12th. And Kimi spun through the fast right-hander. Great time to go to him then. And he has spun whilst I was when I went to him. And Kimi, a top driver, and Kimi's out. Literally what I was just saying. I mean, I think that may have been a bit too much for Kimi, because I reckon he was quick enough to make his way back to points. But retirements like this for Kimi and for other top guys, it's just going to give people like Reese, Bunnies, C1, well, C1's actually left the session, it's his AI, but it gives those cars a chance to score points. So when these top guys struggle, it gives the lower guys more of a chance. Although at the moment there does look like a lot, with the strategy at the moment sort of switching either way, it's hard to tell quite what the order is, because I think everyone but Bunnies and James are on medium tyres. And you have to just look at how many laps they've been on to work out what strategy they're on. So, close battles at the moment on track. Fares is quite close to the back of Manu for second place. They're both on the same strategy, so that could prove to be the battle for second in the long run. Let's have a quick look to gap to leader. James, 18 seconds off the leader currently. So, when correct pits, James is currently going to come out in first place. And Mikis will actually come out ahead as well, I believe. Maybe even Jarno. I'm not quite sure of the length of the pit lane here. I'm guessing based on the average of about 20 seconds in most pit lanes. If this is a short one, it may actually be an 18-second pit lane. And then maybe James may come out behind. But James is catching. James is actually catching leader at the moment on his fresher hard tyres, which is a sign these medium tyres may be coming to the end of their life. And it's at this stage that drivers like Jarno and Nerazuro and Thomas will start to catch up and regain the time that they've lost earlier in the race when they pitted. There, Jarno has just got past Mikis for 6th place. And I assume that's quite a clean overtake, as James on the back of Barra Bulbasaur. Based off previous races, you have to say that James is the quicker driver and is going to want to get past Barra Bulbasaur very quickly, as Barra Bulbasaur has not been, well, he isn't a 4-time race winner in the series, whereas James, he is, and up with the inside of the hairpin, and up through the next chicane there, and through into 4th place. And with moves like that, he's just going to keep charging up through the field and really put the pressure on Krek. And this is where Krek is going to have to hope either James won't be able to take the hard tyres the distance and will have to pit. As speaking of pits, Krek and Fares are in the pit lane. And crucially, where is James? James is ahead. James is ahead of Correct on the pit exit then. James has the net race lead. He's only 5.5 seconds behind Manu, who is the only driver in the top part of the field who hasn't pitted. Mikis and Barabumbasaur, you'd imagine, are the next guys to pit with Manu. Probably on the next lap. So is It's Just and Reese. Bunnies and C1. Well, Bunnies has got a long way to go. He's on the harder tyres. And C1, he's got a few more laps left in his medium tyres there. As that looks like Bunnies who has spun it coming up the hill there. Yep, that is Bunnies as James laps him. We've got Barabumbasaur and Correct very near to each other on track. Correct right up behind his teammate. Will Barabumbasaur make it easy for his teammate? No, he won't. He does not let his teammate through. That could be a fun team briefing after this race. As Correct is so much quicker. And, almost contact. Almost contact there. And I would hope that Barabumbasaur may have lifted off a bit there just to ensure that there was no contact with his teammate. Although the way Barabumbasaur is driving at the moment, he's definitely pushing the tyres on his last lap and comes into the pits. Jarno up into 4th place now. Got DRS down the straight, but you'd have to imagine Correct with the fresher tyres. They may be harder, but they're fresher. Is going to pull away a bit from Jarno in 3rd place now. As It's Just is the only driver, I believe, yet to pit in this race, other than those who are out of it. As Bunny's got a 5-second time penalty for ignoring a blue flag. And that penalty, it may not come. I mean, I don't really understand the ignoring blue flags in this and online on this game, because the car ghosts. So it makes full sense for the driver in front to ignore it. They'd have no need to not ignore it. It's not like real life where they need to have a penalty system for that. Otherwise, team like Ferrari could just tell Alfa Romeo to block all their rivals, which of course is completely illegal. As that looks like Bunnies has come to a stop coming up the hill there. Is that him retiring? Has he spun? Let's have a look. It looks like he may have just spun there, or maybe he slowed down to let some cars past. As meanwhile, up at the front of the field, we've got Manu quite close to the back, as that is Bunnies off very wide through that high-speed right-hander. But it looks like he's back on track safely and it's all good. Very close between Nerazuro and It's Just. You'd imagine It's Just is pitting this lap. Is he? Yes, he is. Nerazuro has got up into 4th place now. That puts Thomas up into 5th place, as it's just 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's not what he's going to want in this race, especially as points you'd imagine are on the table here for It's Just. With the amount, we've had 3 retirements so far, and C1 has left, so it's an AI car, so that should be quite easy to beat. Bunny's into the pit lane. Maybe he does have some wing damage, and Bunny's with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So lots of drivers seemingly struggling to get the car stopped into the pit lane, and this is an issue we've seen a lot throughout the season. So maybe they're locking up the brakes, maybe they're just braking that a little bit too late and just throwing away 5 seconds of their race. And for some of these drivers, so It's Just, that may hurt him a lot. To be fair though, he does have a 54-second gap to the car behind him, so I'm going to imagine the 5-second penalty isn't going to hurt him too much. But he's in 11th place and only 1.8 seconds behind. Ooh, Thomas almost losing it out of the right hander. Oh my, Manu doing a wheelie out of that corner then. As lots of drivers close on track now, as Mikis is only 1.6 seconds ahead of It's Just. So if It's Just can get that place, then that 5-second penalty may well hurt him a lot, as that is Bunny's now off at turn 4, and he is still going, it looks like, so maybe he's pushing the car a bit too hard, trying to catch up, because he knows he's dropped back enough for it to be worth the risk to push. As now got a battle now for 6th place. Manu right on the back of Branny, on their way towards turn 1. As Bunnies has gone off again now, looks like turn 5 now. As Manu around the outside, no contact, nice and clean. Branny drops back into 7th place. Manu is on the fresher tyres, although they are harder. Oh, and he's gone a bit wide there. Could that be a possible penalty? Doesn't look like anything's came up, so maybe it was possibly just a warning. As other close battles in the field, It's Just now on the back of Mikis, coming through turns 1, 2 and 3. This is where his penalty is going to hurt him. Yes, it won't hurt him when he's racing him, but when it comes to the end of the race, if Mikis can stay close enough, And if he knows that it's just as a penalty, he's not going to fight and risk it like he normally would. As that is Barrel Bomb sort of up in ninth at the moment, as that is a Toro Rosso, and it's Forever Sin, who looks to have spun it maybe on pit entrance, and has lost a place to Reese now. So Reese in 12th place, could this be his judge? As that is Branny, is that Branny? Yes, it's Branny, who was spun coming out of the hairpin. And that is not good, and has lost I think another position there. Looks like it was only the one position, that was to Fairs. Was there contact? Wasn't there contact? I missed that one, that's on me. But who knows what happened there, as Thomas into the pit lane. And this is for his second pit stop of the race. And he's going onto the hard compound tyre. So these... Oh no. James may not win this race. Correct is 1.9 seconds behind now. And if James is doing the same strategy as Thomas and the other driver's doing a two-stop, but it's just flipping the medium and the hard stints around, which I would imagine, because I doubt he's going to be able to take those tyres to the end. But think about it. If the two-stoppers are doing soft, mediums, hards, surely it's possible that the one-stoppers may actually have quite bad tyre wear at the end of the race, and some of them may decide to pit onto the soft tyres, because that would have the same strategy. I understand why the soft tyres, you don't want to start on them, so they may be a bit worn, and maybe sort of you're only on them because you have to be. But if it was that bad, then I would imagine more people would have gone for it, less people would have gone for it, sorry, and more would have gone for the one stop, because the whole field had gone for the one stop, but then everyone would be sort of fair. But I suppose some people, especially down the midfield, value that track position more than the strategy, because with the way this field is, if you have a crash, then it could be, you could get caught up in it, and if the crash is behind you, or the further you up at the grid, let's say you could be back row of the grid, there's so many more cars in front of you that could crash and that you could get caught up in, whereas if you're 10 places further up the grid, yes, you could be in the centre of the crash then, you could be the car that starts the crash, but at the same time there's then cars behind you that, that if they, and, ooh, correct, nearly spinning it there at the fast first hander, there's cars behind you that can't, that if they crash won't affect you, unless it's that they've broken way too late. Which is a big issue at some circuits, especially circuits with limited runoff at turn 1. But back to the race then, it is close battling between Thomas and It's Just at the moment, along with Mikis, as they're coming through the second section. Now, as that's Forever Sin there, who has spun coming up the hill. As we watch the battle now, unboard with It's Just. It looks like the gap's maybe just a bit too big to do anything down this straight. Ooh, contact! He's hit the back of Thomas. He's hit the back of Thomas there. Is there any wing damage? Yes, there is. There is some wing damage to Fairs' car. Now, not only has Fairs damaged his wing and affected his race in a bad way, he's also put Thomas back a bit and has pulled Thomas away from Mikis. And as a result, Thomas is going to be easier to pass now, as Nerazuro has come to the pits now. On to the... which tyres is he going to go on to? He has gone on to, it looks like another set of mediums. So it does seem that it's possible to go softs, mediums, like I would have predicted. But it seems Thomas maybe doesn't have the faith in his tyre wear, or didn't decide, maybe thought it'd be safer to go on to mediums than hards, as there you can see It's Just front wing damage definitely hurting him a lot there. And making him go wide, and if he goes wide he's going to pick up warnings, and if he picks up warnings he's going to pick up penalties. As, was that Bunny's with an issue for a return to free perhaps? As It's Just dropping back now from Thomas. Thomas just trying to get back within that DRS 1 second gap to give himself a shot at Mikis. Although, a bit too far back on this straight. And it's just going to catch through each corner and slowly make his way up to the back of Mikis and probably go for a move, as that is Yano in the pit lane. Slowly make his way up to Mikis and catch, and then eventually pass him. As Fairs now up into 4th place. James been on the hard tyres 12 laps. I don't know how long you can take hard tyres. I believe, well, the mediums went about 12 to 14 laps. And at that stage they were off quite a bit, as Thomas to the outside of Mickis towards turn 1, and has got the move done before the braking zone. And very clean move, very nice move for Thomas there to get up into 9th place, which is 2 points, and that's another 2 points for Mercedes that will just add to their championship lead, I'm sure. James looking like he's managing that gap to correct now at the moment very well, as Fares on the back of Manu for 3rd place. Will he be close enough here? Not quite. You really need to be on the back of the car. You need to be almost touching the car if you want to make a move into that corner, because the straight isn't very long. Just look at the minimap, compare it to the length of the main straight. It's probably not even half the length. And coming through a high-speed corner onto a straight, you're going to fall back a bit because of the dirty air and the struggle. So let's run through the order quickly to give you all an update on how this race is going. James is leading the race, aiming for his 5th consecutive win. Correct in his 2nd race, was 2nd in the last one. He's currently running 2nd, although on a different strategy to James. Better tyre wear, could maybe steal a win from James and get Correct's 1st win of the season. Manu in 3rd. And then Fares in 4th place. Fares, though, looks to be maybe a bit quicker than Manu and is right on the back of Manu at the moment. Jarno is in 5th place, 3 seconds back, and is just pitted. So on fresher tyres, you'd have to imagine he's going to catch these two very quickly and probably get a podium position here. Barabumbasor, very good race for him, up into 6th place, and then Nerazuro very close to the back of Barabumbasor in 7th place. Thomas in 8th, Mickis in 9th, and then it's just in 10th with a 5-second penalty. And I'm sure there are lots of other penalties in the field that I've missed. But we've got a battle here between Nerazuro and Barabumbasor. Looks like Nerazuro is a bit too far back on this particular lap. Barabumbasor a bit of a lock up there. That is not going to help his tyres, as Manu and Fares head towards turn 1 again now. Will Fares be able to get close enough to go for a move into turn 1? He's catching with the DRS open. Will it be enough though? Doesn't look like it at the moment. Flowing through those first 2 corners, and it just through this first sector, you're just going to try and catch up through these sort of quite flowing corners, and hope that you can get close enough, maybe for a move into the hairpin. And best case scenario is probably to just get close enough to go for a move down the next time you go down the main straight. Barabumbasor also remains to be ahead of Nerazuro at the moment. Again, Racing Point doing very well, but Ferrari doing even better. Ferrari, again, shows how much teams can have a swinging form. The way Haas have gone from a top team to, well, both cars out of the points. Ferrari have gone from being one of the lower teams to now been running 2nd and 6th. And I know, of course, Ferrari have got a lot of their new points from their new driver, Correct. But Barabumbasor up in 6th. That can't be just like coincidence. Maybe Correct is helping out Barabumbasor. Maybe he's giving him a setup or something like that. Maybe those guys are in a party and having a chat during this race, and sort of giving each other some tips on which corners are good for overtaking, how to manage the tyres, those sorts of things. Which strategy was better? That could have been something they discussed in qualifying, as they are both on the same strategy. As Fez straight past Manu into turn 1, another overtake where we've seen people not be able to do it the previous lap, and then the next lap be past them before the braking zone, which, I'll be honest with you, isn't great for the racing, but will make it much quicker to do the highlights tomorrow morning, as all Nerazuro had a look there. Didn't quite go for it. He maybe could have gone for a dive, as look how close he is through here. Nerazuro, and he's gone for it through turn 3. What a move. What a move there by Nerazuro in the Racing Point to get back some points that they're losing from Manu dropping back. Oh, and that's a mistake, maybe. As clip the grass there, and up the inside goes Barabumbasor, contact. As that is a spinner going through the fast right hander. That is Reese, who's gone round up there. Looks like he's still in the race though, as Barabumbasor back up into 6th place. Nerazuro to the inside. Oh, and whoa. And look, they're so close, racing each other. Surely Narazuro is going to go for a move here. No, not quite able to get close enough to do so. As Yano now catching up to Manu as we have a 3-car battle as we head down the main straight. Yano always seems to be caught up in battles. In Silverstone, he was in a lot of the battles, catching up to people. Maybe it's that he goes for sort of alternative strategies where he has to fight through the field. Meanwhile, Manu up the inside and he's spun. Manu was spun going through turn 1 and he's kept it out of the wall, no wing damage, and has only lost the position to Yano. And Yano now, that's made his job much, much easier in getting the podium. Only 3rd up ahead now of Fairs. That's our first big incident mid-race so far now. As Narazuro has got back up into 6th place. Whilst his teammates dropping, but they're wheel-to-wheel into turn 4. Bit of contact there. You can see the hand in the air from Narazuro's driver there. Barabumbasor didn't go for the move that he went for on the previous lap. And settles in 7th place. Meanwhile, Yano not able to go for the move into the hairpin, but is right up behind Fairs at the moment. Through Sector 3 they go. Can he stay close enough to go for a move into turn 1? Is it going to be another one of the moves which is done easy, past him before the braking zone? Or is it going to be like the move that Manu tried on Fairs, where they made contact and spun? Definitely can go either battle, go wheel to wheel, but the run Yano has at the moment, I'm feeling that may be unlikely. As we head on board now. Doesn't look like he's going to be ahead in time. They are going to be side by side into turn 1, but on the brakes there. That was a bit closer to being a wheel-to-wheel battle through turn 1. That time they made it to the braking zone before he made the overtake. But I suppose the different strategies, they make it so easy for you to sort of find that extra speed as he sets fast to Sector 1. That shows you how much Yano is flying at the moment. Looks like it's probably a bit too far back to maybe challenge for a top 2. But if James has to pit, maybe, yeah, James will be on the quicker tyres and he'd be ahead, so I think Yano's safe there, as there is battling behind between Barabumbasor and Narazuro, as Barabumbasor has got back ahead again, and Narazuro just watching that Ferrari rear wing. It can't be fun getting stuck behind him, especially as he knows that Karek is a quick driver and Karek is going to challenge Racing Point in the Constructors' title, and it looks like Karek is too quick at the moment for both Racing Points, as Karek, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and that could be Karek's race win sort of chances dropping down, as he had a lot of penalties in Silverstone, as Yano sets the quick lap of the race. Owen, can I bring you in here quickly to find out, can you let me know, does James actually have any penalties at this stage? Because if he does,
I believe not, but I did see a correct penalty before, so he has got a total of 6 seconds of penalties right now.
That is huge. James is on for his 5th win then, guys. I mean, maybe, just maybe, if he has to pit again, as he's been on 18 laps on those hard tyres, they're going to be getting pretty tired. Although last race out in Silverstone, Manu was able to take hard tyres 25 laps of the 26 lap race. So
well, Narazuro does have a 5-second time penalty, so Thomas may be going for that 8th. If he just keeps this distance right now, he's got that 7th right there.
Yeah. Unless, of course, Narazuro is able to get past Barabumbasor and pull away. Because I think it's fair to say Barabumbasor looks to be holding him up a bit at the moment. Barabumbasor is a really quick driver and a very clean driver. But I don't think he's quite going to be able to hold back Narazuro. For much longer at least. Because he's been doing it very well so far. To be fair, he has been doing a great job at defending. No one seems to be able to contend. As just fun fact, Bunnies is a whole lap behind the car in front of him. So that can just an idea on how Bunny's race is going. Alfa Romeo not having a great season so far, with Branny scoring a lot of points. Branny doing a decent amount of points. Bunny seemed to struggle a bit. It seems like a lot of bad luck for Bunnies this season. I've seen a lot of yellow flags with him, and not necessarily all his fault. As Narazuro not quite close enough again to make the move on Barabumbasor. Narazuro must know he's quicker. He's on fresher, softer tyres. I don't understand how Barabombasaur is keeping him behind. It is as Nerazuro at a 3-second time penalty. I just can't believe that.
That
Nerazuro
brings us
8 seconds now.
penalties. Yep.
As he's gone up the inside, how is there not more contact? As towards the next corner, will he go for the inside? Not quite brave enough to go
No, he
for it.
just came up. 5-second time penalty for Bunny as speed in the pit lane.
And Bonnie's race just got worse as he's now getting beaten
And
by the AI
Barabombasaur
car.
got 3-second time penalty. Nerazuro with the DRS going on the outside.
Thought Barabombasaur might be about to squeeze Nerazuro off track then, do a bit of a Leclerc. And he spun him!
And there's contact.
He spun.
Oh.
How have they not both gone
Luckily,
around then?
Nerazuro did push around to get back on track, but...
As Barabombasaur's gone.
And
He's gone.
There. Spun it.
And he's reset to track. That is reset
and
to
that
track.
is a 10-second penalty for him.
And that puts him back behind It's Just, and that puts him behind Branny. That puts him out of the points. That's a shame, and he's pitted anyway. I don't actually know if they're aware of that rule with the no reset to track rule, but it's definitely.
I put it in the normal chat. I think I put it in the info chat.
Well, it's definitely a penalty, and it's 100% a penalty in F2, and I know it's a penalty in F1 as well because we were discussing how long it should be before the race.
No, I didn't quite put it in the info one.
Maybe we'll give them maybe we'll just give warnings for this race. Just let them know.
Yeah.
Future that would be a penalty. But to be fair, Barabombasaur's already thrown away his race out of the points, so it had already gone. 10-second penalty would just be rubbing salt into a wound, so it just wouldn't be worth it.
Yep.
I don't think that's rubbing salt into the wound is the correct phrase for the situation Barabombasaur's in, because rubbing salt on a wound is worse than having a wound. But
a gunshot in your face.
It's kicking a man while she's down, but again that makes it seem like it's going from because kicking him. I think rubbing salt on the wound it's definitely kicking a man when he's down. As Thomas within DRS now as yellow flag, and that is the Renault of Fairs. Is that Fairs? Yeah, Fairs is off. Turn 3, he's spun it and he's dropped down to 5th place from a fairly safe 4th there. But Nerazuro is quite a bit back, so Fairs could be safe in 5th place now.
Ginger Thomas just behind Nerazuro a hole, and he's lost traction a bit on the rear.
Nerazuro's gone a bit wide there. And Nerazuro does have I think 3-second time, he has 8 seconds of time penalties, doesn't he?
Yep.
Which currently would drop him back into 8th place. So, not great at the moment, and you'd imagine. Just a quick update on the leaders, with 2 laps left to go, Karek is only a second behind. So I think the only chance Karek has of a win here is if either James somehow has more penalties, which as far as I'm aware he has no penalties.
No, he doesn't.
Or that he gets a puncher, which is possible.
Thomas with the DRS.
And he's very close, right behind. So close. Through the final sector now.
Yeah.
Gotta feel bad for Barabombasaur though. It was his mistake, but it was, he was doing so well, and it's all gone so wrong. He's 15 seconds back now. It's looking unlikely he'll be able to catch up. Meanwhile, Ginger Thomas is going to go for the outside line on Nerazuro, and he's passed another. Nerazuro back up the inside. And he's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
That's 11 now.
Oh, it's like me in the
That'll
F2 feature
all
races.
the way back
down
to
penalties.
9th.
Oh,
Yep.
Nerazuro.
I'll put him all the way down to 9th, maybe 10th. I don't know.
I think he's fairly safe with Barabombasaur though now. Meanwhile, the lead of the race, Karek, looks like not quite able to do it as James had DRS on his teammate actually, on a Barabombasaur. So that's Karek's teammate. Half a second back now. Nerazuro, will he fight back against Thomas? Down towards the hairpin. Not quite able to go for a dive there. This race really has got a lot better in the sort of closing laps of it. Much more on-track battles. As under 7 tenths now between the leaders. Getting very close. I believe that James's tyres may be going off now.
So it's 5-second time penalty, ignoring blue flag.
That's correct. There's three lapped cars involved here. That's a bit like it's looking a bit weird now. I mean, the lapped cars, if I were them,
took the inside of the first corner, he's done it.
I've just realised.
Took the inside and gone the outside.
Are these lapped cars all racing each other, or are they lapped cars on lapped cars? It's hard to tell. Because I think Forever Sin and Reese are racing, but Barra Bulbasaur's a lap ahead of them. So, as the back of the lead here, towards turn 1, correct, with the outside line. Is he going to go for it? He's already ahead. James just needs to sit back. James needs to sit back and just let correct take the lead. It's the last lap of the race. All he has to do now is stay within 6 seconds. And just to check, I'm going to quickly have a look at penalties. So you can commentate on this leaders' battle for a little bit.
You're correct with the early braking. James a little bit late on the braking zone. Trying to keep as close as he can.
No penalties for James. Correct has 2 penalties, but James is on 2 warnings, so he could get a 3-second time penalty this lap. But it looks unlikely. As Thomas up past Nerezuro, down towards turn 1. Into 6th place there. Nerezuro much later on the brakes. Nerezuro's on fresher, and Nerezuro, big snap there. Nerezuro on fresher, softer tyres and is not able to defend from Thomas, which is a bit of a shock.
And around the final corner, correct in the lead, but
comes across the line. And James,
we all know that he's got them 6 seconds of penalties, which puts James on first.
So James, for the 5th time in a row, for Mercedes, has won the race. This is domination at its finest. This is Lewis Hamilton's domination in the Torpedo League. Ah, what a driver James is. What a driver. As we now look down the field, Jarno crossed the line 3rd. Manu crossed the line 4th now. As Sector 3 yellow flag. And that's Thomas. Thomas has made a mistake on the last lap of the race. I don't believe it. I can't believe it. Thomas on the final lap of the race has made a mistake. And now Mickey's all over the back of him. Does Thomas have any penalties? Mickey's completely cut that, but anyway. Oh, that was... Does Thomas have penalties? Could Thomas have just thrown away? No. But Thomas does get back ahead of Nerezuro. Nerezuro down to 9th. Well, it doesn't look like Just is going to be able to catch up, though. As it's Just crossed the line in 10th place to take the final points position. Amazing.
Yeah.
What a race. Definitely a race of 2 halves. First half very much just chatting about strategy and F1 in general. Second half definitely more of a wheel-to-wheel overtakes special.
And Barra still leaves the session a bit early.
I'm not surprised. He threw away points in that race. I'd say easy points.
Here we are. James first, Kovac second, Johnny third, Manny fourth, fifth, Fairs, 6th, Ginger Thomas, 7th, Mickey's, 8th, Brannicon, Nerezoo 9th, 10th, Justin, 11th, Barra Bulbasaur, 12th, Forever Sin, Reese 13th, 14th, C1, 15th, Bunnies, Kimmy 16th, 17th is Josh, and 18th is Kyle.
Well, that was a fun race. So many penalties, but that is the thing with this sort of the penalty system, strict corner cutting. There is lots of penalties. Driver with the most penalties was Nerezuro, in the end with 11 seconds worth. As we had 3 DNFs, and Bunnies was beaten by the AI car of C1, which could be controversial because C1 should have perhaps retired his car when he left the session. But you know, technically you can still get points. But I think that's it for this race, season 1, race 7 of the Torpedo League. I would like to thank everyone for watching. I hope they enjoyed, and actually follow our Instagram pages, Torpedo League or Torpedo League F2, Torpedo League properly, like the main account, just Start again. Okay, I'll follow on Instagram, Torpedo League. There's Torpedo League F2, and if you want to you won't learn much from it, Torpedo League Commentator, which is me. But there won't be any posts or anything. That's just purely as a account for the official Torpedo League version of me. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and the full race will be on there, and we'll have a highlights video hopefully out tomorrow. Don't know how long it'll be. Could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. I'll try and keep it within that range. And of course, follow us on Twitch as well, where I imagine many of you are watching from at the moment. We're what, 20 followers off 100, so it'd be lovely to get 100 on there.
20 from on Twitch we've got 22 followers, but on Instagram we've got 70. Let me just double check here. It'd be nice to get 100 followers on Instagram. We are 20 away.
So let's try and get that.
Can, yep, that'd be greatly appreciated.
And hopefully, if all those people that follow us on Instagram could subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitch, that'd be great. I highly recommend watching the highlights videos. I think they're decent. A lot of people who have seen them have said they're decent, so please go give them a watch. But I think that's it. So until next time, goodbye.